So recently, a bunch of unaired pilots found their way online, dating back to the 90s. What I want to do is look at these pilots and determine two things. 1, did it have potential? And 2, how different would popular culture be if this pilot was picked up for series? Today we're opening up the pilot vault and looking at the pilot for a show called Gibby. Now, I'm really excited about this one. I was a huge Dan Schneider fan growing up. Drake and Josh, iCarly, Victorious, he couldn't do wrong. Well, then it was revealed that he did do stuff very wrong. So the script for this pilot was leaked online a few years back, but now we get to see it for real. Noah Monk reprises his role as Gibby Gibson for this pilot, a character he played for the entire run of iCarly. Now, there was already one iCarly spin-off at this time, Sam and Cat, starring Jeanette McCurdy from iCarly and Ariana Grande's character from Victorious. It very quickly crashed and burned. You can read about it in Jeanette McCurdy's book, which I absolutely recommend. And Quinton Reviews has done a really informative video on it that I recommend you checking out. It's a deep dive, and it usually takes me about a week to get through one of the videos, but it's well worth your time. He covers all of iCarly, Victorious, Sam and Cat. They're really good videos. Now, the main premise of Gibby would have been about Gibby getting a job at a recreational centre, where he ends up acting as a mentor to a foursome of offbeat middle school students. He helps these kids break out of their shells and embrace life in a true Gibby style. This would have been the first series produced by Schneider, with a male lead since Drake and Josh. So it'll be interesting to see how he writes for male main characters again after so many years, because, you know, let's be honest, we'll probably never see another Dan Schneider show from the bakery for a very long time, if ever. So I guess this is the closest we get to new content. Let's give this pilot a watch. So we start in, I think that's the Seattle Space Needle. iCarly is set in Seattle, so that makes sense. I wonder if they ever planned on bringing Miranda Cosgrove and that over to this show if it ran for a couple of seasons. iCarly just got cancelled the other day, didn't it? Mad, didn't it? I guess the universe is officially dead. We cut to a classroom where two nurses are trying to remove something from this teacher's bum. We later learn that Gibby's weasel bit him. So what are they removing? And why does it take two nurses? Gibby is meant to be the same age as all these other kids, despite being, you know, as tall as most of the teachers. We get some jokes, they're not the best, but it's basically on par with Snyder's other stuff. I imagine I probably would have laughed at this had it aired when it was intended to. The title sequence is just a man saying Gibby all over again, which is even more confusing considering that Dan Schneider tweeted out, "Whatever we're gonna name this, it's called Gibby for now." I guess they never thought of an alternative name. Two kids come up to Gibby in the lunchroom and say they recognise him from iCarly. Not the TV show, that would be too meta, but in iCarly, the main characters presented an internet show, so they know him from there. There's a food fight in the cafeteria and Gibby saves the day by jumping in front of a chicken nugget before it hit a kid. "Get down, Mr. President." Gibby announces that the kids at the loser table are his friends. Why are these kids in a school with this clearly 25-year-old man? The kids who are bullies seem to respect Gibby, probably because they know he could kill them with one punch. We then have a locker scene, which was a bit of a staple of Victorious. Some of the show's best moments happened beside those lockers, but since this isn't an art school, the lockers are just normal, not overly decorated. I had an art campus when I was in uni, and I remember having to go there at one point, and there was like 20 people sat on the grass playing guitars. Art schools are just built different. The kids go up to Gibby and ask him to be their mentor. I'll tell you what, this might not be the funniest show ever, but the pacing of it is solid. Dan Schneider proper had this down to an art form at this point. It's so effortless, he's such a good writer, it's a shame that you know. And the kids are all decent enough actors as well. It's really well cast. I'm impressed. Well done to them. Gibby is approached by some cheerleaders who ask him to come to their house to watch them practice cheering together. Dan Schneider writing scenarios he wishes he would be in again, I suppose. One of the kids' quirky personalities is that he thinks he's a robot from the future. So he's the weirdo one, like Robbie from Victorious. Dan Schneider has like a set of characters and he can never go too far from these archetypes. Now this kid, Jordie, is actually a really good actor. It wouldn't surprise me to learn that she was a big theatre kid. I wonder if she's done anything since. Okay, so she's played by Taylor... How do you pronounce that? Taylor I Am Groot. God, I bet you she's never heard that one before. It looks like she stopped acting not long after this, so... That's a shame, isn't it? I think she had potential. Her IMDb page is just a photo of some cars. I've never seen that before. That's a really weird choice. And of course, as always has to be the case with Schneider, we have the idiot character. In iCarly it was Gibby, in Victorious it was Ariana Grande. Like I said before, Schneider only knows how to write a certain amount of characters and he just reuses them for show after show. Gibby flirts with this woman and it doesn't go well. Then, these tough guys come in and hold everyone in the recreation centre hostage. Nah, I'm just kidding, they're just being suspicious. They'll come back in a bit. Now, when Gibby was flirting with that woman, the kids all get bullied, encouraging them to teach the kids a lesson about sticking together and standing up for each other. We then have a montage where Gibby straight up pummels these kids with dodgeballs. Honestly, I was completely ready to absolutely destroy this show and tear it apart for being terrible, but it really isn't. Like, it's the same quality as your average iCarly or Victorious episode. It was solid. In 2012, Dan Schneider tweeted, "I'm here editing the very first episode of Gibby. It's making me laugh hard. Noah Monk equals genius." And while I don't understand what he was laughing hard at, I kind of agree with him. Noah is great in this. His comedic timing is solid. The woman he was flirting with offers him a job at the recreation centre, setting up further plot lines for a season that never happened because this pilot was not picked up for a full series. Gibby looks up the recreation centre, only to discover that the two dodgy looking guys from earlier are still hanging around. They kidnap Gibby and demand that he gives them money, which is when one of the kids realises that he left his jacket back at the rec centre, so they turn around and go back. Oh, it's getting tense now. By which point, Gibby has been tied up and is being tortured. These guys are about as good as acting as that guy who tried to scare Danny in the room. Honestly, he'd fit right in with these guys.
Where's my fucking money, Danny? Did you use my fucking money?
The kids attack, allowing Gibby time to untie himself from his chair. He then takes off his shirt, which his character was famous for doing back on iCarly, and the kids join in. The people who are trying to rob the place obviously run away terrified, as you would be if a bunch of naked people just came running at you. I don't blame them one bit for running for their life. And that was the end of the pilot. We never saw Gibby or those kids again. So where does this pilot rank among the other unaired pilots that I've looked at? Well, I liked it. I thought it was really solid. I'd go so far to say it was pretty good. Why wasn't this picked up? I'd love to know. All these years I've presumed that it was because it was awful, but it really wasn't. I'm gonna stick this on the higher end of the good category, right between that late night show and the Matthew Perry sitcom. I'm actually gutted we never saw more of this. What happened? Why was it never picked up? Right, are there any other unaired pilots you want me to look at? If so, let me know in the comments, and subscribe, help us get to 4K. Right, there you go. Bye.